Live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello everyone, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. As always, we appreciate you joining us. We are live streaming here from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. This is something that we do every weekday starting at 1 p.m. We go throughout the afternoon and we cover a wide range of topics. And we get to have some longer form segments and discussions here. As part of that, I recommend downloading the Fox 12 Oregon app. So for this discussion, though, we're talking about what took place in Harney County in Burns, Oregon, and the entire area over there a couple of months ago when there was the severe flooding. I'm sure you all remember this going on. We were covering it here, and really a lot that happened there in association with those floods. And we wanted to check back in here after this couple of months period to find out how things are going, how recovery efforts are happening, and maybe even, some wisdom to impart on any other organizations or cities that are out there. And to do all of that, we've got our guests here. So this is who we're joined by here today. We've got Christi Mace, who is the disaster case manager for Harney Hub in Burns. And we've got Bob Yunker. And Bob, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Is the co-chair of the Harney County Long-Term Recovery Group, in addition to other things that you both do as well. But Christi and Bob, thank you both for being here today. And maybe to start off, to give a little bit of context too about those positions that you're in, Christi, would you mind just telling us what that is and what it is that your organization does?
So the Harney Hub is actually a community center. We, on a day-to-day basis, we help our seniors and our low-income. We help the homeless. We have transportation. We help the veterans. But more recently, we've been playing a large role in the disaster that happened in late spring. Yeah. And I have taken on the role of disaster case management.
Okay, and I want to get into all of that you were just talking about here in just a minute as well. And Bob, would you mind telling us, a little bit more about your roles and your other roles there in the community?
Absolutely. When the floods took place here in Harney County, we had several families in our church body impacted by the floods. And so because of that, my heart went out and said, we want to respond to not only the flood physically, but also to a effort to reach out to our community and make sure they're all right and recover. So because of that, on a weekly basis, the community got together and began to respond and deal with a process of recovery. And that sort of organically sort of took a shape of what is now called the Harney County Long-Term Recovery Group. And I'm a co-chair, and our simple mission is basically to provide coordinated resources for the wholeness of someone who has been through a disaster, not just with the floods, but potential future disasters. But because of the spring floods, we needed to react and respond quickly. So we got a team together, and now we're as Christi is our case manager. Her desk is full of files of individuals who have needed resources, and it's been empowering, but also it's been, I don't know, maybe frustrating to some, exciting, overwhelming because of the response. We've never been anything like this before, and so that's my role, and we have a great team trying to provide resources to those who have been impacted by the floods.
And I think that's such an important thing there, talking about who has been impacted by this, because this was a wide-reaching flooding event. And I guess maybe to give that juxtaposition, do we have any approximate numbers of how many people were directly affected by this as far as their residents or any other kind of impact that this flood had?
So we do still have people coming out of the woodwork, so to speak, but we know that over 200 households were affected. I currently have about 40 case files on my desk with more people calling in every single day. And those range anywhere from displaced to people just needing help drying out underneath their house.
Right, which can have its own kinds of issues too when you talk about mold or anything else that could form on that. So a lot of long-term effects, that can come from this. So for the recovery efforts themselves, maybe if we can go back to this, Bob, you were kind of touching on that, but when this first happened, what was that sense of community like when people were coming out to help those who were affected by this?
Well, the beauty about Harney County is that that's what we do. We respond. We're a tight-knit group. And to some, that it's not a fault. We just love one another. And so immediately within hours, that's between Saturday night into Sunday morning, we saw a rapid response from our community, sandbags, pulling people out of their homes with boats and so on. Just seeing a really touching, moving response from our community. And unlike what we've seen before, because we've never been through something like this, and so we've learned a lot about our community, the depthness of why we do the things we do here isn't just it goes beyond just the surface, because we love and we connect with people here.
And when it comes to helping those out, you mentioned your case files that you have, Christi, and some 200 plus, and as you mentioned, people still coming out of the woodwork, from who may have been affected, who haven't actually reached out yet. That at the end of the day, that costs money. That costs time, that it takes effort. So how has that part come together as far as funding and just, the human hours to work on something like this?
Well, recovery definitely is a community endeavor. We have partnered with the Oregon Department of Human Services Office of Resilience and Emergency Management, and they have provided some funding to help us. The goal with their funding is to get people back into their homes with safe, sanitary, and secure. So it's not necessarily home that they're used to, but those funds are not enough to make their recovery whole. And that's where we start depending on the community. And that is actually how the LTRG ended up forming. Was we got our community together to figure out how we're going to fund the rest of recovery for these people, because you're dealing with either uninsured or underinsured, or you're dealing with elderly on a fixed income, you're dealing with low income people. And construction is very, very expensive. Even the littlest repairs can go up to $15,000, no problem. So funding only goes so far, and that's when you really depend on outside sources for the assistance to complete recovery, so these folks can feel like they're back home again.
So it's a lot of it has been, as you mentioned, from the Oregon resource there, but just the community forming that organization to specifically tackle some of these issues, this disaster relief for fellow community members. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes. The community really steps up. Like Bob said, the churches have played such a huge role in recovery. They have a heart to give, and they have access to volunteers, which we have seen tremendous help with throughout the community. And the survivors themselves play their own role in recovery. It isn't just everybody else. They are also playing active roles.
And
go ahead, Bob.
I was going to say, when it comes to the funding and so on, one of the things that we're reminded of at every assessment that we get, it has a portion that says our story. And the individual tells us their story of how they were impacted by the flood. And it's a wide range of stories. Some are short and say, hey, the water just came up to my doorstep. Others say it was about 18 inches into my house. To others, hey, this is a 100-year-old house. It goes back to my families. And so we try to get a good picture of not just the numbers, but also what is attributed to that. We're dealing with individual families, and we don't want them to move out of the area. We want them to stay put because they're valued here. And that makes it difficult because we only have a certain amount of funds. And Christi is the testimony to this, where she can tell us, hey, we have funds, but we just may not have enough. But we want to help everybody that we can, because we want to see everyone not only recovered, but sort of rehabbed, their house back to where they can live. May not be exactly like they were before, but at least there's a place for them here, and that's what we want to see.
Looking at, and I want to, we're going to circle back to that too, because I do want to just remind everybody of how they can help out as well. But looking at it from both of you, I think, Bob, you mentioned that this is something that, nobody there has really gone through before, something like this happening. And I know hindsight's always 20/20, but, looking at it now for other people out there, for other organizations, for other communities, that this could happen really anywhere, as we've certainly seen this week. What are some maybe lessons that you've learned or things that you feel you are now better prepared for having gone through this?
Well, first of all, disaster and trauma is not just isolated to one specific area. Everyone's going to have to deal with some sort of disaster. It could be large or small. So it can be, it can't be measured by a flood. Some may experience wildfire, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, and so on. So our learning curve, I guess, or what we've learned is that anything can happen at any time. And we need to have a place where there's a group that's willing, has a passion to see others see through a disaster. The flood, will it happen again? I hope not. But at the same breath, it could very well happen again. Some wildfires, whatever that disaster is. That's why our recovery group is just not in response to the previous flood. That's why we're gearing up for maybe wildfire, maybe another flood, maybe we get a huge snowpack and it just starts wreaking havoc on homes. So what I would tell communities is that have in place a group that is willing to pull resources together to assist families or individuals through some type of disaster. It could be one home, it could be 5 homes, it could be a business, it could be 5 businesses, but have something in place that individuals can go to that's supported by the community for the community to reach out to others. Christi, what would you add?
I would say know your community partners, who they are and what they offer. And this could look like your city and county leaders, your emergency management, DHS, medical community, local shelters, even your thrift stores. And I think most important is those faith-based leaders, because they do have so much to bring to the table. And I would have this meeting before disaster strikes. Bring this community meeting, all the community partners together, so that you do know who does what, and you can kind of have a little plan in place of, if disaster strikes, we all get together. And your first concern is meeting those immediate needs, and then long-term needs kind of start to come organically. But that immediate meeting of getting that community together to get everything moving is key, and you need to know who those key people are.
Yeah, and what I was going to, when you see in your small community or large community where you have a local business, they're willing to donate to soccer or baseball or any type of local event or activity or fundraiser, really invest in your local business, local commerce, because they're the ones that are on the flip side impacted by the disaster, but they also can be the very one to help fundraise for something in the future. So local organizations, local business is so critical, because you're going to do life together with them Monday through Sunday. And so, yes, the larger agencies, the larger corporations, they're also incredible when it comes to these types of situations. But man, I'll see someone who is a business owner on Sunday at church, but I also will see them at a gas station on Wednesday. And we'll have those types of conversations and relationships that may not be had in other communities. So totally support your local commerce, your local business.
So really getting that idea and getting everybody together ahead of time, to know this person can help here, this person can help here. Maybe they don't know each other, maybe they're not talking to each other, and understanding that. It sounds like it's one of the really big lessons there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think you can ever have a solid plan in place, but just having the people in place.
Yeah, to respond. Well, looking at it right now, what are some ways that people can help out with Harney County and the recovery efforts that are still going on there from outside the community?
They can mail donations to the long-term recovery group at P.O. Box 43 in Burns, Oregon, 97720. Or our website, harneyhub.org. There is a donate section on there, and we would make sure it all went to the flood relief. You hate to make everything about money, but at the end of the day, that's what it takes to make things happen. And we are struggling. This is a very small, isolated community, and we just don't have enough to help all of our people get back home. And so that is what we need the most, is financial assistance.
Well,
and we've seen that.
Go ahead, Bob.
I was just saying, we've seen that in Central Oregon. It's been amazing. We have received funds from Central Oregon, and so from me, I want to thank Central Oregon for continuing supporting what's going next door, what's going on in the community next door. That I know we visit because we got to travel through Central Oregon to do appointments and so on and so forth. On behalf from us, Harney County, to Deschutes County and all the other counties that have been supporting the state of Oregon, man, it's been amazing to see the support and the continued support as well. That being the case, we obviously know, we're aware of what's going on in Texas, and so I can't begin to just, my heart goes out to them with the tragedy and devastation that they're experiencing. That's unlike ours. However, loss is loss, not to just, we've experienced tragedy, but I tell you, Texas is going through some really a devastating time, and my heart goes out, condolences goes out to everyone dealing with the Texas floods right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think it comes back to what you said, disaster can happen. You can plan as much as you want to, but yeah, these things can happen. There's wildfire season. There's still all of that coming up too. So, but this is a really good conversation. I really appreciate both of you, joining here to talk about this and just the work that you're doing there for Harney County, for the residents there, for your community, and and thanks for sharing everything. Any final thing you'd just like to share with everyone?
I just want to say thank you for keeping us in front of people's faces. We appreciate that. Like I said, we are very isolated, so we're easily forgotten, I guess. So thank you so much for bringing attention to the victims of the flood and letting people know that we're still here and we still need help. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and all those in on the part of the state, the valley, the Portland and central, not only Central Oregon, but Northern Oregon, just everyone in the state of Oregon has been a great help. And again, for your listeners and for who you're reaching out to, thank you so much for spending the few moments. To name everyone and to name every county would get me in trouble because I couldn't name all of them, and it'd just be unfair. So thank you, thanks to the listeners. And boy, we got a lot of road ahead to us, but with the support that we've been seeing and what we're going to see, lives are going to be changed.
All right,
it's going to be amazing.
Well, Christi, Bob, thank you very much for joining us here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And for everybody watching, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be coming back here at 2 o'clock if you're watching live. So in just a few minutes, but we need to take a break. Again, this is Fox 12 Now. Feel free to download the app, the Fox 12 Oregon app on whatever platform you're on. This is a great way to watch this, and also share the show on whatever platform that you have, however you want to do that. Thanks for joining us. I will talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.